Drive with FD and Lynette because Carrie is off to a lovely island somewhere,
Yes.
enjoying herself.
Yes.
Yep. And she's having a lot of sun, a lot of sea, and a lot of sand as well.
I think
in
so.
her toes, yes.
Well, as long as that's where it stays. Alrighty, we are. Why are you all looking at me? I didn't say anything.
Nobody likes sand in the toes, and you say that's where it likes to stay.
Well, I hope that's where it stays. Anyways, okay, time for us to get down to Bak Kut Teh. We've got Hedy Khoo, who's a journalist with the Straits Times, with us. Hedy, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to talk about the Bak Kut Teh scene in Singapore. Why cover Bak Kut Teh?
Well, I noticed a lot of several new establishments popping up, and I thought, hey, how come Bak Kut Teh is such a traditional, old style kind of food, right? It's coming back in fashion.
Yeah.
So I thought I have to investigate this.
Right.
Yeah, but before we go on, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Do you prefer the Singapore version of Bak Kut Teh, or do you prefer the Malaysian version of Bak Kut Teh?
I
It's very
see
different,
where
you
we're
know.
going now.
Yeah,
You're trying to get me killed, right?
Yes.
So
Come
early
on.
in the morning.
Come on,
That's
let's do it.
I like both. I'm a Teochew, so I
too.
should say
Kakinang.
Kakinang. Yeah, but you're trying to kill me now. You see,
That's fine.
putting
so
me in
much
the
for
spot.
Kakinang.
But I think in the end, it boils down not to which one, but who is doing it. Yeah, it's the place where you eat it and whether that version is good. Because there's no point saying, oh, I love the Teochew version, but then you go to a place with a bit of a mediocre one.
Yeah.
Then you get disappointed because you have such high expectations. So I think when you're trying both, it's best to go in with an open mind and you'll be surprised because some people I know, it's just like you're divided into two schools, right? It's either you want the herbal broth or you want the peppery broth.
Yeah.
But sometimes, if you give it a try, you might surprise yourself. And also like some versions are just marrying a bit, borrowing a bit from each other now.
That's right. So Bak Kut Teh 101, go into any Bak Kut Teh store with an open mind.
And a wallet.
And an open wallet, yes. I've heard it can get very, very expensive.
Very important.
So, for me, Bak Kut Teh is... I don't know these shops that sell Bak Kut Teh, right? To me, Bak Kut Teh is Song Fa and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't know anything other than that.
Well, there are several old school ones. Like there's, I think, this Lawati, which I used to frequent at Whampoa.
Yeah.
And then there's this really super old school one, which I've also covered previously, a couple of years back at Balestier. It's Kai Juan Eating House.
Okay.
Super old school. But now you've got all this new wave of, establishments pairing Bak Kut Teh with like zi cha dishes, with cocktails, with bar bites. Yeah, they're trying to make it more appealing to the newer to younger diners, to the market, and perhaps also the place that they're located at.
I don't know, man. I'm old school. I like it traditional. Nothing fancy.
Okay, let's go on to Facebook and continue this conversation. Where is Bak Kut Teh actually heading?
1FM.
Into my tummy lah.
Into your tummy.
Hedy Khoo. Only if it's good.
Hedy Khoo with us on the morning drive talking about Bak Kut Teh. So you're saying it, I don't get this. Bak Kut Teh with cocktails.
Yeah, so like Yo, so they sort of, I think they have a collaboration with Yo's Bak Kut Teh, like apparently a famous brand from Klang.
Yeah.
And because the N group specializes in Japanese dining and right, so they sort of like fuse the two concepts together, putting Japanese influences on this Malaysian style Bak Kut Teh, and also giving people a choice of cocktails like made with pai jiu and I think highballs, if I recall right.
Wow.
Yeah, and over at beer, it's not new.
Yeah.
But over at Old Street Bak Kut Teh, I think what's new is like having beer with Bak Kut Teh. Usually you have tea, right?
Tea with Bak Kut Teh, that's
Kung Fu tea.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they're kind of like after 5 the place turns in, and also karaoke at O Street at Telok Ayer.
No.
Yeah, so because like it's at Telok Ayer, that it's a bit of after work happy hour that kind of thing. So they're trying to sort of gel with the vibes there, I guess.
That is so sick. What is this thing about clam-based Bak Kut Teh? How do you do Bak Kut Teh and it's clam-based?
So controversial, right?
Yeah.
Putting shellfish in Bak Kut Teh broth.
Was it fishy?
I tried a few. Well, the one in the peppery soup, I think it would gel more. So for that, I tried was the fish slicer. So as a Teochew, you'll be outraged, like, what? Garupa slices in Bak Kut Teh broth. This is
sacrilegious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it works. It works. Like somehow because you can still taste the sweetness of the fish. Funnily enough, as for the clam version, for the herbal broth, so what I understand from the people behind it is that it's harder to match, seafood with the herbal broth. Yeah, so they have to tone down the seafood flavors of the clams.
Right.
Of course, they didn't want to tell me exactly what did they do, but they have to bring it down, so perhaps like soaking it or something like that, and so that it can gel with the herbal broth.
Yeah, and strangely enough, it works.
And they have to add green chili. Yeah, they add green chili, so it's sort of like the spice sort of like, I don't know, covers it.
Covers the
Rather than
Now, you described traditional Bak Kut Teh as a sunset industry. Tell us what you mean by that.
Oh, I didn't say it's sunset industry. What I said is that it's more like a dish that's associated more with like older diners. Older diners appreciate it more. Yeah,
Like us.
Yeah.
Okay, you're just trying to get me killed here. But I think it's because, in the end, even younger diners, they will like it because it's comforting, it's soupy. I mean, if you're going for a soup version, because now they've got the dry versions as well, right? It's like soupy. It's like the pork version of fish slice soup. Something that you eat and then you don't feel like it's too indulgent.
They have dry versions too. What about that?
Dry versions. So I think that's a Malaysian thing where one of the key ingredients is that usually it comes in this savory sauce. It's dry. It's not that saucy, but there is like, I think sliced okra and sliced cuttlefish. So again, I think these Malaysians, they love to bring the seafood into the whole mix and the picture. Yeah, to make it exciting, I guess.
If we see the so-called Bak Kut Teh experiments happening, particularly in Singapore, what does that say about our food culture? Are these experiments being done to cater to the younger audience, or what does it say about our food culture?
I think I wouldn't say there's so much experiments, but more like new concepts. I think it shows one thing. It shows there is a demand for these traditional foods like Bak Kut Teh. Well, obviously because, as what some of the owners have shared with me, it's comforting food. More importantly, it's nostalgic food. Everybody loves nostalgia.
Yeah.
So when you, like a lot of people have this common experience of going for Bak Kut Teh meals over the weekends with your family, your extended family, maybe a big table,
Yeah.
and then you share, there's a lot of side dishes. So there's definitely a place for that. But also they're bringing in all these new elements like pairing with karaoke, cocktails and all. I guess they are trying to move with the times and, keep it modern as well. But I think in terms of flavor, it hasn't really changed that much. I mean, you still get your usual side dishes, your yu char kueh, your dough fritters, your braised peanuts, perhaps, your salted vegetables.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for like the Teochew peppery one. But I think there's also a change. People don't want to eat too fatty cuts. You don't want your broth too salty. So I think they have also sort of catered to that, whether it's the herbal broth or the Teochew peppery soup, because people sort of want their Bak Kut Teh, but yet don't want it to be too unhealthy.
Oh, but I love fatty. Fatty is so good.
Of course, it has to be fatty. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a mix lah. It's got to be nicely marbled, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, I was just wondering, were there any particular creative ingredients, presentation styles, or service methods that stood out for you?
I wouldn't say so much the creativity, because some of them have I think one thing about whether it's the herbal broth or the peppery broth is that they've tried to stay true to the origins of the dish, in terms of taste. It's just tapering it to be healthier, But I was quite impressed because O Street Bak Kut Teh is a chain. So I wasn't quite expecting for them to actually prepare the broth every morning at their outlet.
Oh, wow.
And also, they make their own youtiao. And they also make soya bean milk, soya bean curd. Yeah, so it's pretty mind-blowing, I would say. Like, you think that a chain, like they would they'll prepare the stuff at the central kitchen and then bring it over, right? But no, these guys are there early in the morning and making all these things from scratch. Especially because the broth, they're very sensitive. They say that even just transporting it, right, like makes it cloudy or something like that. And they want the broth to be like clear, with a lot of clarity.
Oh, that's commitment right there.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And also, like, I was ready to diss the seafood versions. But like the Lala Bak Kut Teh, well, I really love fish soup. So, people messing with this, like, okay, I have my biases, right? But the fish soup in the Bak Kut Teh broth, I can see why some people might take to it. Because not everybody wants to eat so much meat. They might like Bak Kut Teh, but maybe, they're not supposed to eat so much meat, right? They have to watch their diet. So that's kind of a compromise, I guess. You have your fish and your Bak Kut Teh broth, and you can have it.
Yeah. But then for people like me, we are so traditional. We like the
purist.
old school kind. Yeah, so purist, right? So what would you recommend is a slight deviation from the traditional, but still acceptable? We can still stomach it.
Let's hold that thought. We'll do that when we go back on air. Okay.
And that was Depeche Mode with Enjoy the Silence here on 1FM 91.3. This is the Morning Drive with the Flying Dutchman and Lynette Tan because Carrie is off on a holiday. But we're not silent at all here, right?
No, we're not. We've got Hedy Khoo with us and we're talking about Bak Kut Teh. For those of you who've been listening to this whole interview, I'm going to ask a question in a short while. If you get the answer to that correct, you could win yourself a set of 4 invites to 1FM's Night Out on Friday, the 27th of June at Nova, okay? So keep listening to this whole discussion because the question's going to be based on the discussion. Okay.
What, there's a prize? I want to join.
You want to join?
No, you cannot.
Okay, well, you were asking Hedy about what just now before we left?
Yeah, I was asking Hedy, for purists like me and many others, we love the old school, traditional kind of Bak Kut Teh.
Yes.
So what would be a good introduction? It's something unique, special, creative, and yet not too far off, something we can stomach.
If you're looking at that, if you're willing to try the Malaysian style one,
Okay.
I think Pinsiang Bak Kut Teh at Food Republic. It's a food court store. It's not even a standalone eatery, and they're pretty new. I think that's a good introduction to try if you're a purist for Teochew peppery broth. That might be a good introduction. The soup is not too heavy, and what really surprises me is that these guys are crazy. They use like top quality herbs that you'll probably be using at home. Actually, they are using better stuff than I use at home. Yeah, like tang kui and all that. What? These guys are like, and I keep asking them, are you actually making money? Like, why are you doing this? Who's your supplier? Oh, some supplier who supplies to restaurants. I was like, oh, there you have it. But you guys are a food court store. Why are you putting so much effort? Because this guy, he's trying to carry on the legacy of his father, his late father, who used to sell Bak Kut Teh, back in Malaysia and who has since passed away of cancer. So he's very fervent and very passionate about it, and he takes a lot of him. He's a co-owner. He puts in a lot of effort making every bowl from scratch. They even have things like vinegar pork trotters, which I thought was not bad.
Oh, my favorite.
Much better than a lot of other versions out there because they don't add water when they braise it. So it's a good introduction if you're willing to give it a try, if you're willing to take that step away from the Teochew style one. Yeah, because it's not too herbal. And another thing that impressed me a lot is that the pork there is really good. They use fresh chilled pork. Yeah, from I think Europe. Yeah, and it does not have any of that scary porky taste that you sometimes find at these Bak Kut Teh places. And fresh chilled pork is you pay a premium for it. So it's crazy that they're using that. So it's worth a try. It's worth a try.
Put you on the spot, Hedy. What's your favorite? Where's your favorite?
Where's my favorite?
Yeah, your favorite.
That's really. Can I say the one that I cook myself?
No.
So horrible.
Somewhere we can go to. Come on.
Okay. I think you could try for what? Teochew one.
Teochew one.
I think you can try the one at the Teochew Kitchenette at Keong Saik Road.
Teochew Kitchenette.
Yeah, and they've got. But you know the best thing there isn't the Bak Kut Teh. I'm so sorry. But the crispy chicken there is really good.
Point lah.
Yeah, but you can have your Bak Kut Teh, but you should also. But the chicken needs 3 days. Order in advance. Yeah, but you can try the Bak Kut Teh there because it's a bit of she borrowed a little bit from the Malaysian style by adding like some nice herbs in it.
So Teochew Kitchenette. Where is it again?
It's at Keong Saik. Yeah, number 26. Yeah, it's like a little shop house.
Right across Hurricane. We know exactly where to go now. Hedy, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you for talking to us about Bak Kut Teh. Always enjoyable.
Thank you so much.
Mornings are now the best. The Morning Drive. Weekdays from 6 till 10.